All right, it's time for our weekly-ish power rankings.
Kind of.
I mean, it's this is an important power ranking squad because we have arrived at the All-Star break. So these are significant.
Is it?
It's significant.
It's something.
Where were you at the All-Star break? How was your team doing? Right?
At the mid-season
But it's
three-quarter
not
break?
mid-season. That's the thing about the NBA All-Star. Like, it's not at all.
Yeah, it's like 3/4 or something like that, right? Yeah,
three-quarter break. Where are you?
Three-quarter break. Yeah,
How you guys doing? You ready to do this?
let's do it.
All right, coming in at number 10, we have the Indiana Pacers at 30-23. Last week, they beat the Wizards, but losses to the Lakers and Knicks didn't have the heart to put them down, though, because they've only lost 4 games all year in the calendar year. They've been playing good. They've been playing well. I don't think 2 losses against teams that we have higher than them in the top 10 should necessarily be a death sentence. That was dramatic. Should necessarily be a
Should
reason
kill them
why
to
we
the ground and bury them.
why we should kill Halliburton? No, none of that.
That's terrible, bro.
No, I like the Pacers. I think the Pacers are good. I think they're a solid team. I think they're a dark horse in the East like they were last year. Again, if like the Knicks get hurt or if the Cavs get hurt or something like that, I can see them making the Eastern Conference Finals again. Who knows? I think they've been playing better defense. Miles Turner has to be healthy. I know he missed a game against the Knicks. Not sure if he missed the other games as well. But when they're healthy, they have point of attack defenders. Ever since the new year, they've been playing well. Halliburton has been playing better for the most part. They're a solid team. I think 10 fits them.
Yeah, 10 is a good spot for them. Like you said, good point of attack defenders, like with getting Neesmith back and having Nemhart. He's been having a great year, too. They started off kind of slow, and they've been able to hit your stride finally.
Yeah.
Like we always talk about the Pacers, we like the way that they push the ball on offense, the way they move the ball. But then if their defense holds up, they're one of the best teams in the league. So 10 is a great spot for them.
All right, coming in at number 9, we got the LA Clippers with wins over the Jazz twice, comeback win last night. And they beat the Grizzlies without Ja Morant, but they did not lose a game. They did not move up a spot. I don't think it warranted that. I mean, their record's not good enough just yet, but a very good defensive team. Kawhi Leonard's looking better and better. He had a dunk the other day where I was like, oh, he's looking like he's coming back a little bit. And the Clippers announcers said to themselves, like, oh, that's one thing we haven't seen since he's been back, and now we just saw it. So slowly getting more healthy. James Harden, again, quietly is having a really good year. Norman Powell stepping up. Their half-court offense does worry me a little bit. We saw in that game against the Grizzlies, it was just kind of like mundane. And that's the case a lot of the times with the Clippers. But getting Bogey, he had a nice first game back against the Grizzlies, is a big help. And Chris Dunn, we talked about him. He's back in the starting lineup. His defense is phenomenal. If he can hit the open 3 like he did against Memphis, and force the defense to come out on him and not, throw a center at him so they can help extra on defense, I think they can be dangerous. We said in the review that possibly Western Conference Finals if they get the right matchups. We'll see. But coming in at number 9, I think that feels right.
Yeah, number 9 feels right. Like you said, we when we recapped your game, Chris Dunn, we're raving about Chris Dunn because we're both Chris Dunn fans. They've been playing really well defensively all year. You've always said for a while you've always liked them. Yeah, they added Ben Simmons.
Woo! Push the ball, baby.
Yeah,
Put the ball in his hands.
Yeah,
you know that as a Net fan. You know what he can do as a Net fan.
Yeah, I mean, I would have dropped him to 11 just because of that, but that's just my bias. But
Ben Simmons, bro, is there a bigger punching bag in the NBA than Ben Simmons?
I'm not. Look, man, I'm not getting started. I don't.
You just threw a punch.
That wasn't a punch.
That was a punch. People, was that a punch? Can you comment? That wasn't a punch.
That wasn't a punch. That wasn't a punch. But Clippers, James Harden have, like you said, quietly having one of his better seasons. Nobody's talking about. If Kawhi Leonard can stay healthy, I think that's always the big question with that team. If Kawhi Leonard can stay healthy for the rest of the season, they're very, very dangerous. Even last year when he was healthy, he was putting up, his numbers were ridiculous. So you just hope he can just stay healthy. They have so many different pieces, so many interesting pieces. Norman Powell quietly was having a borderline all-star season. You could have made the case. So yeah, we have him at 9, even with the Ben Simmons addition.
All right, coming in at number 8, we have the Houston Rockets. They continue to slide. Now, they did end their losing streak with wins against the Raptors and the Suns, But then they lost to the Warriors in a game where it put a bad taste in my mouth. Granted, they are missing Van Vliet. Granted, they're missing Jabari. Granted, they were missing Tari. I understand that. The effort wasn't there in that home game, coming off 2 straight wins. It's a game I think you should win. Also, they're 3-7 in their last 10. They're not playing the best basketball right now, and it's just kind of not a good way to go into the All-Star break. And honestly, like, we're gonna do mid-season or All-Star break grades. They're going to get a high grade. Like, this is not going to affect their grade too much, but it is kind of disappointing how they kind of tailed off at the end there. You can blame injuries though. I think having them at 8 might be a little low, might be a little disrespectful. Wouldn't surprise me if they come out the All-Star break, especially if they're healthy, putting together a couple wins and we move them back up. We love the Rockets. It's just right now they're not playing well.
Yeah, it's crazy because I think when this team is healthy, the potential of them is like we can argue like they might be the second best team in the league in terms of their record and how well they played. But they haven't been healthy. It was looking like Ime was like closing in on like a coach of the year kind of run. It still has a chance. Like, the season is not over yet.
Yeah.
Again, they need to get their main starters back. Like, the last game we watched, they basically almost came back and won with your third stringers, which is impressive. But at the same time, that's not the team. That's not really who they are. If they have everybody healthy and they play, I guess, quote unquote Rockets basketball, which is high intensity defense, kind of like not backing down from everybody, pushing the ball down the other team's face and throat. I didn't want to say that. That sounded wild, but yeah, like it feels low, but yeah, they've hit a little bit of a slide, but we like we said, we like the Rockets, so hopefully they get it back together after the All-Star break.
All right, coming in at number 7, we have the Los Angeles Lakers after the trade for Luka. Wins against the Pacers, beat the Jazz, lost to Utah though.
Investigations.
What's up?
Investigation.
Kwab wants an investigation. I kind of want an investigation too. The league was like, you know what? We're gonna take Mark Williams back. It's getting a little ridiculous here. Listen, we can't act like AD's a scrub though. I mean, losing AD does hurt them in some way, shape, or form. Granted, you're gonna have Luka Doncic for the next 10, 15 years. That's not the point. The point is they're still playing good basketball, and now they have Luka. So I'm gonna be interested to see where they go from here, like how they adjust. Losing to the Jazz is not good. That's not a good loss. And they just blew them out.
The Jazz end up like beating some of the top teams?
They're always competitive. So that's one thing about Utah. Like they're gonna fight. Like they're always gonna be competitive. They're very similar to Portland to me, where it's just like Portland gets blown out. Like Portland will like play like 4 or 5 straight games of like competitive basketball, especially lately. I mean, they just won a huge win streak, but throughout the year, and then they'll get like blown out twice, and it's like, oh, there they are, and then they'll come back and be competitive again. But yeah, Utah beats the Lakers. That kind of soured, I guess, the Luka Doncic trade just a little bit, but I think 7 feels right. I don't know how good they are. I know a lot of people are penciling them in for the Western Conference Finals. Some of the finals, don't know if I want to go that far. 7 feels right.
I mean, I think the main glaring issue right now is your size. They try to address that with Mark Williams, but then it got rescinded. They went out and they got Alex Len, who was supposed to go with the Pacers. Not the Pacers center they wanted, apparently, but they got Alex Len, and they kind of threw him in there in the Jazz game, and it didn't look great. But any team that you have LeBron and you have Luka, I think you should have a chance. Right. Come playoff time, you should have a chance. I still want an investigation. I just think I still don't know. I get it. Like you said, AD is not a scrub. When you just
he goes down right away. Did they know?
And then he's out, and now all the Mavs bigs are down. All the Mavs.
Right. Anyone who could replace AD is like on the IR. What's going on?
It's just the totality of that trade just doesn't add up. Like, you look at other trades that happened this past year, and you're just like, that was it for that guy. But that aside, Lakers. It feels like ever since the trade happened, or even a little bit before, LeBron has kind of turned it up a little bit. Interested to see how they look after the All-Star break, and after they kind of get Luka and they get a little bit more cohesion as a team.
Yeah. Shout out Bronny James.
Yes, sir.
9 points. All right, coming in at number 6, it's the Memphis Grizzlies. 1-2 last week. They beat the Suns, but they lost to the Thunder and the Clippers. No shame in that. They were without Ja against the Clippers. I like Memphis. We like Memphis. We both think there's an obvious ceiling to Memphis right now. Their record is good. They're second in the West, but I do not feel like they're the second best team in the West. Obviously, we feel like they're the sixth best team right now in the NBA. It's kind of hard to get a read on them because they're so efficiently offensively. Like the numbers are there. And if I were to get into debate with a Memphis Grizzlies fan right now, they would probably have the higher ground statistically, right? Like I could say everything I want about the offense, and they could always just fire back. Well, these are what the numbers say. This is what has been happening all season, and look at their record, and I could be like, yeah, well, you know what? I still don't really like it, but I don't. I want to see more wrinkles in the offense, and they can have that when Ja plays, but there's just too much ISO, too much go cook his ass for me. They play fast, which I do like, but they play very sloppy. So I think the potential's there. I'm not completely out on them. They could turn the corner at any given moment. And I hope they do because I really like that franchise. I've been a fan of that franchise since the Zach Randolph, Marcus Gasol days. So rooting for them.
Grizzlies. If you're a Grizzly fan, please correct me if I'm wrong. But by the numbers, it looks like your team leads the league with the best offense and leads the league with the most turnovers. I could be wrong with either one, but especially the turnovers. But anytime I've watched them, that perfectly describes the team. It's like, yeah, they're running, they're getting to it, but they turn over the ball at a very high rate. I don't know if they're able to clean it up in the next like 25 games or so, whatever, how many is left. We both like the team. We like the roster. Very, very deep roster in terms of efficient players all around, and they've always done a good job just finding these players nobody talks about, and they draft them at like 47 and 58, and all of a sudden you're starters and you're efficient. So, there's a ceiling there, but hopefully Ja can stay healthy for the rest of the year because I think that's when you're their best. So we'll see how it goes for the rest of the season.
And also, I just want to add this. The Western Conference is interesting because I feel like there's a bunch of teams who have the ceiling of like Western Conference Finals.
Yes.
Like
yes.
the Rockets, the Grizzlies, you know what I mean? The Nuggets are another one we're about to get
into. Apparently the
Lakers,
Mavs, according to Nico Harrison.
Honestly, maybe.
Yeah.
I actually wouldn't be surprised. They're not on our list, but I am higher on the Mavs than most people are.
Yeah.
If AD is healthy. We'll see.
All
right, moving on to number 5. It's the New York Knicks, 36-18, with wins against the Pacers and Hawks. They got embarrassed by the Celtics, which means to me that we're never going to see them crack the top 3 this year in the countdown. It's just not going to happen. They're going to be 4, 5, 6, 7 in that range. They're a good team, but to me, they are the best of the next, if that makes any sense. There's a tier of championship contenders that the Knicks are not in. There's another tier, and that's where the Knicks are. And to me, it's kind of disappointing. They made trades in the offseason to make this team a championship contender, specifically to beat the Boston Celtics, and the Celtics have basically dog-walked them all season, each time they've played. But they did win games against the Hawks and the Pacers. The Pacers game was impressive. The Hawks game, they gave up 148 points in overtime and almost blew a 6-point lead.
Almost lost. Which
drives me crazy. Good team. Bit fugazi.
That's a non-Knicks fan. I think we have them too high. Again, we should probably
have
them right above the Clippers or maybe below the Clippers.
Stop it, bro.
And I think the Clippers should be lower.
They beat the Rockets. Every team we have.
Stop naming facts.
Team we have
stop telling me.
They have a better
stop telling me things that are right when I'm trying to be. When I'm trying to be.
These power rankings are perfect.
Stop telling me things that are correct. Okay, stop hitting me with facts. Okay, I don't want to hear that. Now, again, every time we talk about the Knicks, I've been consistent. I've been consistent in calling them inconsistent because that's what they are. They're an inconsistent team. They're just that's what it is. Like now, there are games where they look like a juggernaut, and there are games where they look sloppy. There are moments throughout the course of a game where they look unstoppable, and then they almost lose a game where they should clearly just end the game and win against the Hawks, and they let them come back. Like, sign of an inconsistent team. Hopefully that doesn't carry over to the playoffs. That's your biggest worry. But Jalen Brunson has been playing really well this year. Like, as a playmaker, as a scorer, like, the balance has been really well. Karl Anthony Towns has made a lot of Knicks fans believers. I feel like a lot of people were like had question marks about him, but the way he's played,
fantastic.
Yeah, he was leading the league in rebounding at one point. I don't know if he still is, but just been playing really well. Thank you for giving the Nets 5 picks for Mikal Bridges. That's how
And
a
Mikal's
trade
been
should go.
fine. It's just there's just something off with the team. There's just something that's not clicking against the teams like they got smacked by the Thunder. The Thunder went 2-0 against them this year. They lost to the Cavs. They got smacked by the Celtics. It's like when they get to that other tier, it's like
I think it's time. I think they just
it's
need.
time. They don't have there's no chemistry there. You know,
But that takes time. It takes time. Yeah. It takes time to like understand, to fit your roles, to know where you're going, like be comfortable in your spots.
And I say chemistry defensively. Like offensively, they're fine. Like
offensively, sometimes you're fine. Sometimes you're fine. I'll say that. Sometimes, and that's the limited games I've watched. Sometimes you're fine. Defensively, you're terrible. That's just like,
which is weird. They shouldn't be this terrible. I understand you have Brunson and Cat. And their reputations are they're two players that are going to need help on that side of the ball.
Yeah,
but it shouldn't be this bad. This is really bad.
Maybe the defense changes when you hopefully finally get Mitch back. Maybe that changes. But at this point, it is what it is. So,
all right, let's not harp on that. Coming in at number 4, it's the Denver Nuggets. 8 straight wins, 36-19. They beat the Suns. They beat the Blazers twice. Which is, I know it's the Blazers, but if you've been watching the league, the Blazers have been on absolute fire up until they met Denver.
Yeah,
so to me, those are impressive wins, especially because like they handled them pretty easily. Denver found themselves, in the beginning of the season, it looked like the bench was just going to be their downfall. That going to the bench had no shooting. It was a dramatic fall off from Jokic. Aaron Gordon goes down. Russell Westbrook goes into the starting lineup and
it
plays
works
phenomenally.
Yeah.
Like he's in part like saved their season, which is insane to say, because I'm not the biggest Russell Westbrook fan, and I have to give him flowers on Valentine's Day. How cute is that?
How cute! That's so cute. So cute. Like they look, man. The Nuggets still employ arguably the best player in the league. Like it is,
and you're always going to be in it. And Jamal Murray's been playing better too. That's another thing as well.
Yeah, so. It looks like he's getting healthier as the season has progressed. But
yeah,
like we've talked about this, we'll mention this later on. But because Shea should win MVP, but Jokic is having another MVP season. The numbers he's putting up is ridiculous, and it just half the time looks like he's not trying. Like he'll casually throw like a full court shot with like his pinky finger, and it'll go in.
That shot he hit in the corner over DeAndre Ayton the other day. Did you see that?
Yeah, like this. It's like, sidestep into the deep corner. I'm not already in the deep. Let me get deeper in the corner, and
it's like he was challenging himself to get as deep in the corner as possible.
It looks like he's playing horse out there while everybody's trying to play a game.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah, everybody's trying to play a game. He's playing horse, but excuse me. Yeah, shout out the Nuggets, man. Like you said, they've been able to find themselves. Considering how they started the season, we expected them to make a trade or make a move, but they stood pat with what they have, and I guess they're comfortable going to the playoffs with that roster. So we'll see what it looks like when the playoffs start.
All right, coming in at number 3, it's the Cleveland Cavaliers, 40-10, a fantastic start to the season. I don't even call it start anymore. We're 50 games in. They did not lose last week. They played the Wizards, the T-Wolves, and the Raptors, all W's. I didn't watch any of the games, so I'm being completely honest with you, but the fact that they won 3 games, I take it as, hey, they're back. Also, love the DeAndre Hunter trade. We didn't even talk about that. We haven't talked about it yet. So I love DeAndre Hunter on the Cavs. I think it's a perfect fit. Someone who can shoot and defend, spread the floor. He's someone who I think fits perfectly with that team. If you're a Cavs fan, you got to be ecstatic about that. Losing Karis LeVert is someone who can create his own shot off the dribble. I understand that. DeAndre can't as well as Karis, but I think he's a better shooter. I don't know what the percentages say, but I trust him more. And he's a better defender. And losing Yang is a body. I understand that, but you're fine. Love the deal. Absolutely love the deal for the Cavs. They went undefeated last week. Didn't watch the games, not going to lie. Stay at 3, go undefeated. Shout out to y'all, 40-10.
Yeah, the DeAndre Hunter trade was, I think that's very, very big for them. Just because we've always been talking about they're missing that 3 with that player that can hit shot, defend, and just give him some size, and he fits that mold like
everything
that they needed. It's kind of like it's kind of crazy. Like they needed to combine like Max Strus and Isaac Okoro.
Yes,
terms to find a player that they needed, and it feels like they got it with Hunter. So even if he doesn't start, just having him just having that type
Love
of
it.
player on the roster is great because they can even start Strus, bring Hunter off the bench, start Okoro in terms of matchups. Just makes them a little more deeper. I'm sad that they lost Karras because I've always been a big Karras fan. But like you, anytime you add a player that played with Ty Jerome in college, it's just a good.
Did they win the national championship? They won the national championship,
I
didn't they?
think so. I'm not.
They
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
feel like they did. I
I don't
could be
remember.
wrong, but it's
My
just
college.
yeah, it's not there. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out Ty Jerome. As always,
Love Ty, man.
man,
There's not a single player you've mentioned more this year on the pod than Ty Jerome.
I feel like he's severely underrated. In
Well,
terms
no
of
one talks about him.
exactly what he brings to that team off the bench. Because there are times where like the team like they're kind of
Yeah, I get it.
just going emotions. He comes off the
Yeah.
bench. He can provide offense in terms of scoring and passing. So he's been great for them. I think the question mark I have with them is like, do they have enough size off the bench, or are they just comfortable going with like staggering Mobley and Jarrett throughout the course of the game, which could work for them too. So, like you said, great start to the season. Having them at 3, it's not a bad thing. Like we've had them at 1, we had them at 2, we had them at 3, and it's gonna be that way for the rest of the season.
All right, coming in at number 2, it's the Boston Celtics at 39-16. They beat the Knicks, they beat the Heat, they beat the Spurs. They didn't lose to anybody. Hate this team so much. Just mismatch nightmare. The only complaint I have with them is that I think sometimes they fall in love with like ISO. Something like Jason Tatum falls in love with like isolation, doesn't take the ball to the hoop, he settles. But when they're driving and kicking and moving the ball around the perimeter and getting open looks from 3, I mean, it's lights out pretty much. And recently they've been stepping up their defense. They've been playing way better defensively. When they beat the Cavs, when they beat the Knicks, they've taken those games as a challenge and they've been winning those games. So I think 2 feels right because of the record. They did have a little bit of a valley there, but they seem like they're starting to hit their stride a little bit.
Yeah, I think with the Celtics, when they're healthy, they know who they are. They kind of have it figured out, and not just again we talk about chemistry and continuity. When we talk about some of these other teams that are kind of below them, they know who they are. They know when to swing the ball, who they can go to in different times, and you're comfortable. Like there are times it could be Derek White going off for them, and everybody's cool with it. It could be Tatum, it could be Brown. We have we nitpick little things that they do that kind of annoy us when we watch them, like them they settle for like contested like tough threes or tough shots when they don't have to. But they've been winning, so you wonder how far they can go come playoff time, because they're back to looking like that unstoppable team that when we saw them to start the season. So
Yeah. Also, just want a quick edit. I said the Cavs are 40-10. They're 44-10.
say that again. I'm sorry.
The Cavs are 44-10.
44-10. Edit. So guys,
Edit.
if you edit, listen.
I'm
44
gonna
and 10.
timestamp this because I'm gonna
Timestamp.
get a bunch of. What do you mean they're 40-10? No, I know. My bad.
My bad.
Right. Just didn't update the doc from last, because I read the Celtics record 39-16. Like they played 5 more games. Like that's
Yeah, it's like that doesn't make sense.
or whatever it was. Yeah. So no, the Cavs are 44-10. And our number 1 team is also 44-10, and that's the OKC Thunder. They did lose to the Minnesota Timberwolves to close out the break, but they beat the Grizzlies, Pelicans, and Heat. To me, best defensive team in the league. They have the MVP. They have the best record share with the Cavs. To me, they're still the best team in the league. Still trying to figure out whether or not I think they're going to win the whole thing. But Chet's back, getting dunked on. But it's good to see them healthy. In all realness, it's good to see the Thunder healthy. Hopefully, they can maintain their health for a long playoff run. To me, what separates them from everybody else is their ability to kind of just flip a switch like they did against Miami the other day and just take over and just belligerent teams. Like it's crazy, their ability to just wipe out double-digit deficits by just pressuring the basketball and causing turnovers and causing havoc on the defensive end.
Yeah. With this team, you know what you're gonna get from Shea. Like you said, he's the MVP.
Yeah.
You know what you're gonna get from Jalen Williams, who's also an All-Star. To me, when some games I've caught and I've watched them, it's always like somebody comes off the bench or in the starting lineup just kind of steps up and has like a ridiculous game. Aaron Wiggins has been having like a ridiculous stretch of games, just putting up buckets. They're deep. They have defenders all around. They have guard play. They have size. Like Chet is back. Like it feels like this should be a championship team.
Contender for sure.
I guess the one question mark everybody has to them is like, are they too young, or like do they lack an experience when it comes to the playoffs?
Right.
I've heard some people say that after the AD trade to the Mavs are clearly better than them. I don't.
Who the hell said that?
I don't agree with that. You can look it online. It's there. People have said it.
I've seen second in the West, which to me is a stretch. Because I liked the Mavs. I'm on record being like that team healthy with Luka was like the second best team in the West. I thought. And there was a time I thought they were the best team in the West before I started watching OKC. Because every time I watched OKC, if you're not familiar with me and this show, this is new to you, I would watch OKC and they would lose, even though they were winning. Like they had 3 losses. I saw all 3 losses, and then it took time for me to. I started watching them more, and I was like, "Oh, I get it. I understand why people are good." But during that time, I was like, "Oh, the Mavs are the best team in the West." With that said, I think it's ridiculous that someone thinks the Mavs are better than the Thunder right now.
I mean, look, people made these points because they were like, "Oh, well, adding more size with AD kind of could help with the matchups with Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein." So, but I don't really fall on that side of the coin. I think they're excellent team. Every time we've recapped them, they've looked ridiculous. Like you said, they turn on the switch and it's just like, yo, we're about to lock you down. We're playing around with you the first 3 quarters. It's time to go on a 40-year-old run, like, and just run you out the gym. They did that with the Heat. Like, the Heat were up against them for the whole course of the game, and then the Heat were just stuck at 83 for like 12 minutes, it felt like. So, great team. You're number 1 for a reason. Shea's the MVP for a reason. He just released a new shoe that looks like a Timberland Converse.
I didn't see it, but I actually pictured it in my head. So.
But it's cool. Boy, shout out OKC.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our power rankings going into the All-Star break. Let us know what team you think we underrated, what team we overrated if Kwab threw a punch at Ben Simmons. We'll see you next week for another edition of the Dimes Power Rankings. Peace.
He can't shoot. Peace.